Welcome to Losing a Child, Always Andy's Mom. On this podcast, we journey through the devastating experience of the death of a child. Grief is seldom discussed openly in our culture, and the death of a child makes people feel even more uncomfortable. We approach the topic openly and honestly, speaking to people who have lost loved ones and experts who help care for them. Whether you are a parent experiencing loss or someone who wants to support another going through this tragedy, this podcast strives to offer hope and help.
Welcome to episode number 331 of Losing a Child, Always Andy's Mom. I'm Marcy Larson, Andy's mom. Today, I have the pleasure to introduce you to Melinda. Melinda is Cody's mom. And Melinda reached out to me several months ago, and somehow she fell through the cracks initially. And then we had to reschedule a couple of times, but it turns out that timing, again, is perfect. So we're going to talk a lot about how that timing is perfect for this episode. But I just feel like sometimes God works to get people on at exactly the right moment. And this is, again, one of those interviews that was done at exactly the right moment for her and for me. Melinda is in the same part of her grief journey because her son Cody died in 2018, just when Andy died in 2018. So I feel so much of what she's going through because we're on the exact same time course. So that has always makes these interviews extra special for me. I also want to announce that this week we have a sponsor again, so I'm excited for that. This week's sponsor is Anna, and Anna wrote with her donation, "The strength you have to face every day and to share stories allows others to feel less alone, to feel heard. I believe that you provide a light for my brother and sister-in-law. Thank you." And this gift was given in honor of her niece, Juniper. So Juniper's family has been giving quite a few donations. So thank you so much to all of Juniper's family for doing that. Again, if you would like to make a donation to the podcast, you can go to the website, andysmom.com. If you have trouble getting on the website, there are certain browsers that give people difficulty because I have been hacked in the distant past and some of those things aren't fixed. So just try a different browser if that does not work. And then you can go to the donate page. Also, email me if you have trouble. You can email me at Marcy, MARCY, @andysmom.com. Also, if you have any ideas for our next upcoming live stream, feel free to email those to me as well. That will be happening in about 3 weeks, I think. So we need to get those ideas in so we can get a good live stream with plenty of participation as well. Right now, though, I just want you to sit back and listen to Melinda, Cody's mom. Thank you so much, Melinda, for coming on the Always Andy's Mom podcast today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
Oh, I'm excited to have you. And I'm so excited to talk to you about Cody. So why don't you just tell me all about Cody?
Okay, well, Cody was the youngest of five. My husband and I, when we got married, we had 4 children. He had 2 daughters, and I had a son and daughter. And so Cody was the baby.
Okay.
Yeah, we honestly didn't, I didn't think I could have any more children, to be honest, because I'd had a lot of complications with my last son. And so he was like a big surprise. And we've only been together a year. And so this new baby's coming, and we're just all so excited. And my husband had 2 daughters, and he would have been happy with another daughter, but like a man, want to carry on that name.
Yeah.
He was just praying for a boy. And it was so funny. We go to the ultrasound and they tell us, and I can tell he's a boy. My husband did not believe it till he was born.
Really?
Yes. Like he was just excited, and he'd always tell the girls, "Y'all are my world," that, I'm really hoping this is a boy. And so my mom said she'll never forget when Cody was born. He walks out carrying Cody and goes straight to her and said, "Look, it's really a boy." Her with him, like we all spoiled him. He was just our world.
Yeah.
Full blessing, that we just all didn't think that we would get to have. And with Cody, like I know all of our children are special.
For sure.
There was just something with him that we
Mhm.
all see. He just, well, for example, like when he was 2 years old, we were in church and a little lady was sitting in front of us and we all knew she was battling cancer. And Cody being 2, he didn't know. And he just wouldn't run up to strangers. Like he loved people, he loved kids, but just to like run up to strange people or even people he knew, he just never did that. He was always wanted mom and dad. Well, one day at church, he just jumps up in the middle of service and goes up to that lady and lays his head on her shoulder. And she's got shoulder cancer and just sat there and just hugged her and loved her the rest of the service. And so,
Really?
yes. And so when the service was over, she come up to us and she said, I don't know what it is about that boy. She said, but I was sitting there worried about my cancer treatment. And she said, he calmed me so much.
Really?
Wow. I mean, it was just amazing. We were like, well, that's special. Didn't think a lot more about it.
Yeah, right.
He just did those things. He was about 3 and him and my husband were riding in the truck. I think he was taking him to daycare or something. And my mother-in-law had a miscarriage after my husband. He's the youngest in the family. And she had a miscarriage. And Russell said, Cody just out of the blue in a car seat. He's still in a car seat. And he said, Dad, he said, God was going to send me here as your brother, but he decided to send me here as your son instead. And Russell said, I just froze. He said, I didn't even know what to say. He said, this little 2-3-year-old little boy, we don't know where that came from.
Oh my word. Wow.
So I just said, well, Cody, I'm sure glad he did. And there was just things, like I could go on. There was just these things that one time, he was probably closer to 4. And my husband had a big box and he had made him like a playhouse in the boys' room, him and my son's room at the time. And Russell went in there and he said, Cody, what are you doing? He had like 2 plates of cookies and a couple of glasses of milk. And Russell said, Cody, what are you doing? He goes, I'm just having some cookies with my pawpaw BL. My husband's dad passed away when my husband was in his 20s. He was very young. We didn't have no pictures of BL. We never talked about BL. Russell was just a little different. Like he did better without pictures and different, My husband didn't even know what to say. He was like, "How have you talked to him about BL?" And I said, "No," because I didn't know a lot about him. I never got to meet him. And he's like, "Cody's talking about my dad." And I know that sounds so crazy, but we just don't know. We can't explain it.
Wow.
And it was more when he was little. Now, when he got older, we had a lot of people talk about just his smile and how he just,
Yeah.
he had this angelic just smile and there was just something about him and people could pick that up from him. But when he was little, it was just these things he would say that he didn't know,
Yeah.
So.
I know. I was thinking about that. It's like the young kids, they just sometimes just accept it, right? They just.
You always said that Melody, I heard you talking about this that he drew.
Yeah, the picture that he drew. Yeah, right. And the thing that this reminds me even more of is that night that he died, and our pastor's son, he was getting a bath. For those of you who haven't heard this story, so we had the accident, and I called my pastor from the road. Like we had not even gone to the hospital yet, and I had called our pastor, and that was our senior pastor, Pastor Bob, and then he immediately called our junior pastor that worked with the youth, so he knew the kids a lot. He had just gone on mission trip with Andy. He had gone on mission trip with the 2 older ones. He knew them all well, and so Pastor Bob called him to ask him if he could go to the house and get my daughter, because someone had to go get her and bring her to the hospital because she was by herself. So he got that phone call and he was on his way home to his own family. And he called his wife, who I believe was pregnant at the time. And they had their 2-year-old in the tub. He was maybe two and a half. And she answered the phone. And, obviously he had told her that Andy had died. And she didn't want to really start asking a lot of questions or getting emotional in front of Sam, their son. And so she stepped out just outside of the bathroom in the hallway. And he said, he's going to have to go to our house, and then he was going to take her to the hospital, and he would not be home, obviously, for a while. And so she came back then and was drying him off from the tub, Sam, and didn't say anything. And Sam just looked at her and said, he's in heaven with his friends, Mom.
Oh my goodness.
And she said, Who are you talking about, Sam? Who is in heaven? And he said, oh, some boy. I don't know his name. So, how would he have known that, right? It was just the same. Doesn't that story remind you of that?
Exactly. And it's just amazing how God works with these children.
Yes, exactly. I feel like God was just a vessel through Sam, and God was a vessel through Cody.
Believe that. And when he was older, and I would say something about kids, or because Cody was my best friend. We were like this, and he was always with his mom or his dad. He didn't care about friends. It was mom and dad, and that's just who to be with. And I said something about kids. He's like, Mom, he said, I won't ever have kids. I won't ever get married. I won't. And it was just the way he said it. It was just, I can't. Yeah. But at the time I wasn't thinking about.
No, right.
About that.
And it wasn't that he didn't like kids, because you said he really liked kids. It was just probably matter of fact, he just wasn't going to get to that point.
Yes. No. It's almost like he just always knew, there was just, yeah.
Yeah. It's just so crazy. But I do feel like sometimes kids just, they, God can just connect with them in ways that he doesn't connect with adults, because I think we just aren't as open to it or something. Right?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, and with Cody, he was always so funny. Probably his 6th birthday, and all it was his siblings, me, my husband, and maybe his grandparents. And we start singing happy birthday. Well, all of a sudden he just darts off to his bedroom. He ran like he was running for his life. And it's because we were all looking at him and paying attention. And he never wanted all the attention on him. And he was just the funniest kid about stuff like that. And a big pig, and that's just how he was. So he was kind of like a loner.
Yeah.
But in a way, we got so many stories of things he did for people after he passed away. He was very secret about it. But one young lady I knew about, it was his senior year, and he come home one day and he'd become friends with this little girl, but she was a sophomore. I think he kind of had a crush on her, but he was like, well, Mom, she's so much younger than me, but she's so nice. And I said, well, just be your friend. And sometimes him and his grandma would go visit her church where her grandparents went. So he kind of got to know her grandparents. And, well, the grandmother got sick, and he found out about it. And I believe by this point, it was the end of his senior year, so he wasn't having to be in that class every day. He had done some work for his dad. Well, he took $100 bill and put it in a envelope or something, and wrote a note to this young lady and said, I heard your grandmother is sick, and I thought maybe this would help them out, and I hope it does, and hope she gets well, or something like that, and left it at the school. Because he couldn't have done it face to face. He wanted,
right,
because he did recognition for it. I wasn't supposed to tell nobody, but I had to afterwards. I had to let my husband know what he did. And so after he passed away, that it was probably 2 or 3 days later, that little girl messaged me on Facebook, and she said, Melinda, I don't know if Cody ever told you. She said, but that helped my grandparents so much. She said, you'll never know how much that helped them at that time.
Oh.
She said, I'll never forget him. She said, I'll never forget him.
Oh, that's so sweet.
And so we couldn't tell everything at the service, but my oldest daughter just wrote out some things that he had done. We wanted everybody to know his heart, because he was so secretive about it. And he felt like those things needed to be done and not boast about it, I guess.
Right.
But anyway, that was just his heart. That was just an example of.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
Saying before and we'll talk about it later, but before his accident, it was a week before his accident, he was having a Christmas party. This was his first real job that he loved.
Yeah.
He was a cook at the Skillet Restaurant, which is State Park. in Mountain View. And he loved his job. And he come home one day and he goes, Mom, I want to give all my coworkers something for Christmas. And he said, but I don't, he said, do you have any ideas? And I mean, I knew when he said that it wasn't, I'd like to, it was, I'm going to.
Yeah, I need to. Yeah, right.
So I was like, okay, Cody, well, how many are there? And he said, well, not counting me, there's like 20. And I'm like, okay, well, so then I got to thinking about it. Well, my dad was a grocery store manager. So every Christmas, my mom would make all this Christmas candy and they loved it. All the employees always looked forward to my mom's trays of Christmas candy. So I said, well, Cody, what about if I make a bunch of Christmas candy? Well, he wanted it more like personable. He wanted to give each person something. And I said, well, you could get some Christmas bags and you can individualize them and then write out everybody a Christmas card.
Yeah.
So we did that. We made a bunch of candy and he filled up everybody a bag and wrote them all a Christmas card. That's one of the last text messages I have from him was saying, Mom, thank you. They loved it. Everybody was tickled with it. Like it just made him so happy. One of the ladies told me after his accident, she said, Melinda, that candy's still in my freezer. She said, I'm keeping it. I won't ever get rid of it. So touched on because that's just who he was. That's who he was.
I love it.
Yeah.
What a great guy. What a great guy.
We actually put Gentle Giant on his headstone because we had so many people because Cody was just this big hunk of a deep voice guy, but soft, just so he had the best hugs. He was just soft. And we had so many people say, Cody was a gentle giant. He was just that gentle giant. And so we had to do that. So that's a good way to explain who he was. He was a giant.
So he was a big guy? Ended up being a big guy?
As he was about 6'2". He always wanted to be 6'4", but he only made it to 6'2". And he was just such a softie, like this big old guy, soft heart. So just a good kid.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And like I said, we were so close. So close.
Yeah. How old was he at the time of the accident?
He was 21. He had just turned 21 on December 2nd, and his accident was on December 17th.
December 17th. So it's coming up. Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah. And right between his birthday and this is a special time then, isn't it? It's a tough time for you.
And it was so crazy because the morning of his accident, I was going to finish up. I had a few more things to get for Christmas. And so I ended up not, of course, getting to do that. And we didn't have his service till the 22nd because he was an organ donor. And so we had to wait a few days. And so I remember we had his service on the 22nd and I told my daughters, I said, I've got to go finish. I've got a few more things I've got to pick up for Christmas. And of course they're all like, don't worry. No, we don't want anything. And I said, no, I have to do this for Cody. He would be upset if I did not finish my Christmas. So my girls loaded me up. I don't really remember. I just remember getting in and out of the car and them taking me to stores and helping me. And that was probably one of my favorite. I know it sounds crazy, but it was one of my favorite Christmases because it come from such a different place, if that makes sense.
Wow.
I was on a mission because I knew I had to finish this for Cody because he was wanting to get my oldest grandson this video game. And, video games are like $70, and I'm like, Cody, you don't have to spend that much, whatever. Well, I took the money he had left in his account and I went and bought that $70 game for my grandson. And we spent all his money on the grandkids or other people. Like we used it for good things because we knew that's what he would want us to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I was like, Cody, I'm sorry. I wasn't arguing with you, but I took care of it.
I did what you wanted to do.
Video game.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, and I was thinking too about the timing even of this interview, because this interview was supposed to be a couple weeks ago, but then you were sick and there was some health stuff going on with your husband. And so now it ends up between his birthday and the accident. And for some, it doesn't feel accidental.
I don't think so. I don't think so because, when I first messaged you when y'all were on your trip.
Yeah, right.
And I felt I just kind of lost it. I lost it in the cracks there. And if you had told me even back then, I would do this in December, I would have said, oh no, we'll have to wait. I can't do it in December. So
Right. Because you're right. You wrote to me in the summer. You completely slipped through. I felt so bad. Then you wrote back, and then we're trying to squeeze it in, and then that didn't work. And so then we were going to do it in November, and then you got sick, like I said. So it ended up being now, but I feel like, I don't know. I feel like after hearing what I've heard about Cody, I feel like Cody orchestrated it to be now.
I think it was an accident. I don't think it
Yeah.
was an accident. It's been 7 years. I feel stronger than I
Yeah.
have. And I know I feel him push that in my soul. Like he wants me to be strong. He never could stand for me to cry or be upset. And yeah. And I think this is his way of saying, see, Mom, you're
Yeah.
doing it, doing the thing,
That's exactly what I was thinking. See, Mom, you're doing it. You can do this.
Yeah. And I know everybody's different. It doesn't matter if it's a year or 7 years, 20 years. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Right.
It's okay. And
Yeah. This is perfect. This is what it should be.
That's how I want to carry on his legacy. I try to do those anonymous things and,
Yeah.
and with him in mind, if that makes sense. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So why don't you tell us about what happened in Cody's accident?
Well, okay. I'll go back just a little bit for it all to come together. We raised our kids in our hometown. We lived there for 20 years. Cody was raised there. My husband had become disabled and Cody had graduated high school and he was kind of wanting to move to a new place. And our other kids were married, had kids. I mean, if you had told me that I'd ever move even 2 hours away from other kids, or especially my grandkids, I would have been like, no way.
Yeah.
So I think God also had a part in all this because for some reason it was me and Cody that come together and we were like, maybe we ought to just move like my husband was raised in the woods and he was having a hard time with not being able to, it's hard for a man to have to just quit working,
Yeah.
takes a lot from him. And we knew mentally he needed something to keep him busy. So me and Cody get our heads together and we found 40 acres in Mountain View. It's only a little over 2 hours. I was good with that because I thought, well, I can come back and forth. We can still see the kids because Cody was so crazy about the kids too. So find 40 acres. It hadn't had a home place in years. So we were just going to have to move in there, clear it up. We planned to build a cabin there. And so we went and bought a camper and we put the camper right in the middle of this 40 acres. And we had started a cabin and that was the plan. And it just went slower because my husband wasn't able to do a lot of the stuff. He was having to show Cody and this and that. And so that was probably, I believe they moved there at the end of 2017. I stayed and finished my job for a little while. My dad was sick with cancer and we knew he was going to pass any time. And so Russell and Cody went over and I would go over on the weekends. And my dad passed away in October. And then I went over in March full time. And I got to be laid off for 6 months because of relocation. And so for 6 months, I had that one-on-one time with Cody. It was just me and Cody, the three musketeers, just the three of us in this little camper, got along great, happy, just trying to run back. I still miss the grandkids. I was still so confused, like, why did I do this?
Yeah. Right.
But I saw Cody happy. He found this job he loved. And I thought, okay, God, I just gave it to God. I was like, you put us here for a reason. And I believe that. So for the December 17th, the day before, I have to tell you about the Sunday the day before. My husband had been sick all night. And I got up that Sunday morning and Cody was all dressed for church. And I said, are you going to go to church? He said, well, of course, Mom. And I said, okay. So I hurried and got ready. Me and him go to church. And on our way home, he starts talking about this little girl at work. He kind of became friends with her and they talked some at the party and we got to talking about her. And I said, well, Cody, add her on Facebook. Just, be her friend. And he was like, okay, I can do that. And I said, y'all may just be friends, but that's where you got to start. And he's like, okay, that's what I'll do. And so he said, but Mom, I need a new profile picture. He said, he did not like pictures. And the only reason I've got a lot of pictures is because he loved his mama, because he would not like pictures. And I said, and so when you pulled in our land, you had to drive a little ways down to our camper, and there was just a lot of trees. It was just real beautiful. And I said, why don't we stop up here and I'll take a good picture of you? And he said, I don't want a selfie, Mom. And I said, well, it's not a selfie if I take it. And he said, I want you in the picture with me. And I said, are you sure? I said, do you want your mom in your profile picture? And he said, Mom, you're my best friend. He said, why would I not want you in the picture with me? And we sat in the car and had this long, this amazing conversation. We got out, we took the picture, we get down to the house, and he changed his profile picture to picture of me and him. And he had sent the girl a friend request. And so the day goes on, and then that night he goes, Mom, he would overthink. He was a little bit of overthinker, and he was like, she hadn't accepted it. He said, she probably gonna think I'm crazy. I said, Cody, she's at church today. I said, not all girls, I said, which is a good thing, live on Facebook. I said, she
Right.
probably, but yet it's okay. So we go to bed. Well, that next morning, I'm going shopping with a couple of ladies from church, and I don't even like to shop. I don't know why I was going because Russell and Cody were going to our hometown. Our furnace was messing up in our camper, and they were going to get it repaired. So here they're going to where the grandkids are, and I'm thinking, why am I not going with them?
Yeah.
And kept pushing me just to go on, finish my Christmas, start shopping. So I got up that morning, I hugged him, told him I loved him, and told him not to worry about that friend request, that she'd accept it, just don't worry about it. So I could tell he was overthinking that day.
Yeah.
So I left, and I'm on my way to town, and we were like 9 miles out of town, and had a lot of mountains up there. And when you're going back into town, there's this, they call it Dodd Mountain, and it kind of winds down. Well, right at the top of Dodd Mountain, there's this little pullover place you can pull over, and people like to, because it's a visitor town, and they pull over and take pictures of the clouds over the town. I had been by that thing, Marcy, thousands of times. Like, I've seen that thousands of times. I drive a mile and a half down the road, and for some reason, I turn my car around. I go back up the mountain, and I pull over there, and I took a picture. And I'm already running a couple of lates, a couple of minutes late with my friends. And I'm going back down the mountain, and I'm thinking, why did you do that? It was just kind of one of those, like, you dummy. I go meet my friends. We're coming back up the mountain. And, yeah, and that's another thing. Usually they would pick me up. I don't even know why I went and left my car at her house. I was riding with her. So I go into town, leave my car, and we're going right back where we lived. Well, we're coming up the mountain, and I had a missed call from Russell. And that's not unusual because service is so bad, when you're all up the mountains. And so I called Russell, his phone went to voicemail. I called Cody's, his went to voicemail, and I text Cody, and I said, okay. And I don't know why. Like, there was just something, I was just feeling something about Cody. And one of the ladies said, is everything okay? And I said, I don't think so. I don't know what's going on, but I don't know. Well, about that time, Russell called me, and he's frantic, and he said, Melinda, you've got to get home right now. He said, Cody's fallen. And he said, and I don't know what's wrong with him. He said, I don't know what's going on. Well, he was outside, and Cody had went in to get zip ties. And Russell thought he heard something, but he didn't realize that Cody had fallen. And so he come in the camper and found Cody unconscious. And Russell had never done CPR in his life. Like, he didn't even know how. He'd never took a class. But he said, Melinda, the next thing I knew, I pulled him out on the deck, and I was doing CPR. And he brought Cody back, and he was bleeding, but he couldn't figure out. He just thought he fell and hit his head. Because, a camper's not real big inside. And he thought he'd hit his head on the cabinet. And so he's calling 911, calling me. I'm trying to get to him. And by the time we get almost to where we turn off the road to go to our place, Russell and the ambulance they were over here at a field. And so I pulled in, and Russell's just frantic. He didn't know what's going on. He's like, Melinda, they're telling me it's a gunshot wound. He said, how could it be a gunshot wound? He said, Cody didn't have his pistol out. My husband was raised up hunting with guns. He taught Cody, like, Cody would go out hunting. I don't think Cody would have ever killed nothing. He just liked to sit in the woods. But Cody knew about guns. We just were so confused. Like, I didn't know what was going on. And it felt like it was like 20 minutes. It probably was 1 minute. Russell said, you need to call the ambulance and just let him know you're here. Let him know, he said, I don't know what's going on. So I go to the ambulance and I open the door and I can tell Cody's there. Like I could tell his eyes just didn't look right. But I could tell he knew I was there and he had a little tear come down his eye. And I said, Cody, Mama's here. Everything's going to be okay. The helicopter's coming. You're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. All this probably happened within seconds, but it felt like forever. And the helicopter came. Well, our friends offered, they were taking him like 2.5 hours away. And so our friends offered to drive us. And our neighbor was up there at the time. And Russell was on our side by side. So our neighbor offered to take Russell or follow Russell down back to the trailer and leave our side by side and bring him back up so we could take off. Well, when Russell went in the camper, he saw the pistol laying on the cabinet. And what it was, it didn't even have like an actual bullet in it. It had rat shot in it.
Okay.
So what had happened, we moved in 40 acres. And anybody knows if you disturb 40 acres that's not had a land on it in a while, there's going to be critters. And, we had mice. And,
Yeah.
so we were so they got some rat shot and he showed Cody how to use it. And in the camper, like there was this corner, really tall cabinet. And it was like, Cody knew it was there. Like Cody knew it wasn't like Russell stuck it up there, didn't tell nobody. He knew it was there. And the investigators came later and they told us the only thing they can say is that he was in a hurry and forgot. He either pulled it down. And they said the only way rat shot could do damage like that is if it was like direct, because most of the time rat shot, it doesn't even like kill a mouse. It just kind of scares it, And I mean, they were just all like beside themselves. Like they were so shocked that rat shot did that. And of course, it threw my husband into PTSD, suicidal thoughts, blaming himself.
Yeah.
That killed his son because he put the gun there. And Cody wasn't like that. He would have never, ever wanted his dad to blame himself.
Yeah.
He would have said, Dad, I was in a hurry. I knew it was there.
Yeah.
I was careful,
Yeah. He was just trying to find the zip ties or whatever, you think? And
in a hurry. And and we just knew. And the sad thing is like, so this was December. 1 September, my husband's sister was shot in the head and killed by her estranged husband.
Oh my
so we
word.
Still grieving that, never dreaming anything like this could ever happen. And I never once blamed my husband. I never even had the thought of blame or because I knew how Cody felt. And so we all get to the hospital. So at this point, we don't know. They took him off in a helicopter. We didn't know if he was okay. We get to the hospital and they made us go in a room because a gun was involved. They had to talk to us. Well, the investigator was coming from Wrestleville, which is 2 hours away.
Yeah.
And he should have been there any time, but to us, it just felt like forever. And I think back to my husband, like used to, I can't imagine me letting anyone keep me from my child, but we did. We stayed, we waited, we did what they asked us to do. The investigator come, and before we went back, my husband and the kids for summer, our kids were all here by that time. All of our kids came and some family and friends. And Russell and them stepped out. It was me and my preacher's wife at the time. We were sitting in the room waiting. And I had a calm come over me that only thing I can explain, kind of like when you have a CT with contrast and the contrast just kind of warms you over, like that numb feeling.
Okay.
I felt that from my head to my toes. And I told Miss Gay, I said, Cody's okay. He's good. I just can't explain it. And I felt that through those days. I felt that through his funeral. I mean, I never took medicine. I just felt this natural calm. And my husband was so glad. And he said, Melinda, I'm so glad. He said, but I don't feel that.
Yeah, right.
He said it was the morning. I think it was the morning him and my stepdaughter were going to the funeral home. My poor stepdaughter, she does hair, and she was going to do his hair, and Russell was taking his clothes. Russell said, "Now, when this funeral's over, I'm going back up there, and I don't want you to go with me." He was like, "I don't deserve to live." He said, I killed my son, and he said, "I'm sorry." And of course, I didn't know what to say, what to do. And I was like, "You can't do this to me. We got to do this together." Well, they go to the funeral home. About an hour later, my husband calls me and he goes, Melinda, he said, you know that feeling you said you had? And I said, yeah. And he said, I just had it.
Oh,
He said, I touched Cody. He said, he's so calm and he looked so peaceful. He said, I feel at peace.
yeah.
I said, God and Cody want you to forgive yourself. Have to
Yeah.
forgive yourself.
Yeah.
And I know I can around on that, but I'll never forget that. I'll never forget. And he still battled it. He still battles it.
Of course he does. Yeah.
It's come such a long way.
And at the moment when he absolutely needed
Yes.
to get a sense of peace, he got the sense of peace.
He did, because when his sister passed away, him and the same daughter went in together for her to fix her aunt's hair. And this ain't the same funeral home. They hadn't even patched her head. So they walked in there and saw the hole in her head. And so they both were traumatized after that. Like they already could not get that out of their head. And then they have to do this again. It was a lot. It was a lot for him too. And, but God can do great things. Like he's the only reason I think Russell kept going and got better. And I don't know if maybe that's where my strength came from, because I knew I was going to have to be the strength for both of us.
Yeah.
Like
that's true.
I was dealing with my grief, but his was so different. I mean, he had he felt at fault,
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And so Cody did get to be an organ donor. I actually got the text message on Christmas Eve that he was able to help 8 people. His organ.
Wow.
Or drank or did alcohol or anything or drugs or anything, and all his organs were good. And yeah, he got to help 8 people. So
That's
found
beautiful.
out his heart is in Texas.
His heart's in Texas. Oh. Mm-hmm.
A lot of good. And I try to tell everyone, just appreciate every day and love your family every day.
Yeah.
And cherish every moment. And I always believe Cody's purpose here. He just made us all better people. He did. Yeah.
Well, why don't you tell us about these 7 years in your grief journey?
Okay. Well, I'll be honest. The first 2 years were horrible. Like they were dark. They were, and it was just like, I did have that numb feeling for a while, but that fades. And I just kind of, I don't know, part of it was wanting to be close back to my other kids and trying to help Russell get through what he was going through. It was just a lot. I would come home every day thankful he was still with us. It was just a lot. And, but every time, like one day, I hear you talk about lament, and I was home by myself and I just screamed out to the Lord. I just screamed, and I laid in the spot Cody laid. And I cried, and I couldn't understand. And next thing I know, I'm outside walking around, and I ended up going in our building, and I had already went through everything, looking for like cards and looking for anything, pictures, like things I didn't know I still had. And, I'd already done all that. But for some reason, I go into the building, and I'm going through this box, and in the bottom of the box, there was this card. And I pull it out, and I thought, what is this? It was a Valentine's card. And Cody had wrote me a long letter all through that card. And I was like, okay, I was meant to find this in this moment. There was a reason to find this now. And I had a friend, I kind of tried to journal. I'm not great at journaling. I wish I was better. But I had a friend tell me, she said, Melinda, when my mom passed away, I just sat and wrote my mom letters. She said something that made me feel like I was still telling her about my day and, all this and that. Well, that night I sat down, and this was about almost 2 years in. I sat down and I started to journal, and instead I said, Dear Cody. Well, the next thing I know, I wrote 8-10 pages, just got it all out, and I went to bed and I felt really good about that. Well, the next morning I get up, it's about 6:00 in the morning, and I get on my phone, and I noticed one of my friends had tagged me on Facebook. Well, this friend had been there with me through it since the beginning. She never tagged anything on. She just doesn't do that. And I thought, well, that's weird. Ron just tagged me. So I open it, and it says, your letter from heaven. And I just read through it, and I just started bawling, and I mean, like, it literally, like it was answering my letter.
Wow.
And I text her immediately. I said, "You're not gonna believe this." I said, "I will show you." I said, I said, she said, "Melinda, I can't explain." She said, "I woke up, she said, I saw that this morning, and I thought, that Melinda." And I said, "Yeah, you were supposed to do that." And it just, I don't, there was something about that that just helped me, that this was bigger than I even knew. Like,
Yeah.
Cody had here,
Yeah.
made me want to be a better person, love a lot deeper.
Yeah.
And so that first 2 years was pretty rough, but I feel like, so my husband and I, we sold out. Like, our kids wanted to come burn the camper. They wanted to load us up and move us. They knew they couldn't. And we almost moved back the first year, but Russell wasn't ready. Like, he just fought it. Like, he fought it. Him and his daughter kind of had a misunderstanding, but it was Russell. It was the grief. It was, he was not. And so about a year later, he just walked in one day and he said, "Melinda, I'm sorry." He said, "I should have moved you back the first day." He said, "We need to get out of here." And I was just so relieved, but I was also thankful we waited, because
Yeah.
he needed that. I wanted him to grieve. I grieved the way I needed to, and I wanted him to grieve the way he needed to. And so the kids were excited. They all helped us get the land on the internet, and so we sold our land, and we moved back home, and we've been back home for about almost 4 years now.
Okay.
And I just feel like that the grandkid, like, we had some grandkids that got to know Cody, and it was really hard we had about 4 or 5 grandkids that got to really know Cody, and they really struggled with losing Cody. And so I think we just needed each other. We all need to be together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it made us closer.
Yeah.
And so I do. And I feel like I'm at the point now. I've thought about taking some of my journaling. I have a good friend that writes books. I never thought in a million years I've thought about writing about his story.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'll do that, it's just little thoughts going through my head. And I just try to focus on paying it forward, because I feel in my soul that's what Cody would want me to do. I just try to keep his memory alive by, like, one birthday I went and just anonymously paid for a birthday cake at a bakery.
Yeah.
And like that. I mean, it may not be something great big, but I knew it's things that I know Cody would do.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. I think that's better for you. I think that's more in line with Cody. I don't think he would want you to make a Cody Foundation or something like that. Like he would not like that at all.
He would not want his name on
No.
anything. And when he did pass away, like, your child, you haven't planned on cemeteries or anything like that. And one of our friends come in, or no, it was our daughter. She said, "Melinda, do y'all know what cemetery?" And I said, "I hadn't even thought about it. Like, I don't know." Well, one of her best friends wanted to donate us 3 plots. And it was in home, like in our hometown. So that's another reason we want to be back, because Cody's buried here. And I was like, "I appreciate that." She's like, "No, she really wants to do this." Her husband had committed suicide a few months before that. And she wanted to do something. She just really wanted to do something. So we accepted the plots, and it was so crazy because it's called Walcott Cemetery. And Cody loved that area. Like, he just loved that area. And so, the guy met us. We didn't even know where it was going to be. Cody loved sage grass. We had some sage grass on our land at Mountain View, and he loved that sage grass. Well, we get out there, and our plots are next to a beautiful field of sage grass. And I told Russell, she was like my work mom. I had a really good friend. I was super close. She was like my second mom. And she had passed away the year before. She had a rare condition. And so she donated her body to science, because she went on to study this. I had no idea she had been buried. They had a memorial for her, like a life celebration thing. Had no idea she'd been buried anywhere. And we get out there, and I just happened to glance over, and I see her name, and I go up, and I told Russell, I was like, "This is Miss Debbie." And Cody loved Miss Debbie. And I was like, this is it. This is where he's supposed to be laid to rest, because the sage grass and Miss Debbie right there with him.
Yeah.
It was just amazing.
Well, and then she gave you 3,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. So
I know.
rest. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people. Yeah. We were overwhelmed with. We never like we would eat, didn't even know where our food come from.
Yeah.
People just love you so much in those situations. You try to help people in those situations, but you don't realize till it's done for you just how
Mm-hmm.
much people really love and care about you and your loved one. And I'll just never forget it. Never forget it.
Well, and it's special to know that you'll be there with him kind of eventually too, don't you think? I mean, I thought so. Yeah.
And
We have 3 too. It's our local township cemetery, which I didn't even realize was there. It's on the same road that his choir director lives on, and so when we're out of town and we can't water flowers, they'll do it for us because they live just a couple blocks away from there, which is cool. So I used to drive that road all the time to go take him to pick him up from their choir summer camp thing. They used to go there and swim in their pool, and it was kind of a fun thing that they did. And so I used to go down and past that cemetery all the time. I'd never looked twice at that cemetery, but it's really beautiful. And so when the funeral director asked where we wanted to go, I said, I have no idea. I mean, I had no idea. And he said, well, I have an idea for you. And so the township met us, and they said, this is for people who live in the township, but we're giving you 3. And if you move and if you're not living in the township, it doesn't matter. Those are your 2 forever. And it just means a lot.
yeah, it did mean a lot.
Yeah.
And that was just something that you just can't think about in that time. I mean,
No.
you can't, yeah, you just can't think about it. And I'm a little jealous of you because I heard you kept his teddy bear. Was it a teddy bear?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Oh, it's downstairs now.
okay.
But
Well,
yeah.
Cody had a little dog. His grandmother, my husband's mom, had got him when he was 1. Yeah, he was 1. It was right after his first birthday. It was the cutest little dog. And I mean, he was 21, and I'm not going to say he snuggled the dog, but the dog was on his bed still at
Yes.
1. And one of the granddaughters that he was super close to one day said, and he named him Harrison because he was going to a daycare, and one of the ladies had just had a new baby named Harrison. So he decides to call this dog Harrison. Well, my little granddaughter asked him one day, and he's probably 19 at the time. She said, Cody, I really love your Harrison. Are you going to let me have him? And he said, Harper, I really love you, but no, you can't have him. And so I was so torn. Sometimes I wish I'd kept it, but for some reason, I guess, I don't know. I left it with Cody, and
Yeah.
hey, I'm not dwelling on it or anything, but but my little granddaughter wanted that at the funeral home, and I didn't let her. I don't know. You can't explain those things. Oh, I got on eBay and I found one exactly like it and got it for my granddaughter.
Oh, that's good.
She'll always keep.
Well, and I was torn too, I have to say, because he slept with Herky every day of his life. I mean, he got it from my good friend when he was just a few weeks old, and he slept with Herky forever. 14, his last weekend, he accidentally left it up north. That was like the first time he'd really been away from Herky. And I said, well, we're going to be there next weekend. We can't turn around. You're going to be late. I don't know, he's had practice or some such thing. And yeah, and then I was back and forth too. Should I bury him with him? But what had happened is, I don't think I've ever said this on the podcast, but when Andy died, maybe I did. When Andy died, the hospital gave us matching teddy bears, one for each of the kids. So one to bury Andy with and one to give each of the other 3 kids. So that's why I felt okay with it, because I felt like I buried him with a substitute bear. So he's buried with that bear. Then my daughter has one. My son Peter has one. And to be honest, I think I have admitted this on the podcast, but Valeriano's bear, the bear that was supposed to be for Valeriano, I kept. So Valeriano never got the bear. And Herky is usually right here, actually. And I would have been able to just bring him out, but he's He's not. So you know this, but other people don't know this on the podcast. But my son Valeriano had a baby, and so I am grandma for the first time, and to my little tiny little Guatemalan grandchild, because they're both just tiny people. So it's a tiny little baby, and I brought Herky to the hospital to take a picture of Andy's bear and baby Isla. So Herky never made it back upstairs because Herky's still downstairs from his trip to the hospital to get his picture taken with Isla. But it was special.
There's no right or wrong in there. You have to do what you feel you need to do in that moment. Like,
Yeah.
I say, I wish I'd kept, but in that moment, the thing I felt to do was, because I could just hear Cody saying, no, you can't have that.
Right. Right. And I remember actually apologizing to Andy. I remember saying, I am really sorry, but I feel like I should bury you with him because he spent every minute with you. But I can't lose you and Herky both. So
I give it. I do, Marcy. Yeah, I do. I get that completely. The week after Cody was, or it was a week after his accident, my daughter was pregnant. And we got to go for the ultrasound. And we found out she was having a little boy.
Oh.
And his name was Cody Lewis. And she called me and she's like, Mom, I just want you and Russell to know we're going to name him Judd Lewis. And so we didn't think his name would be carried on. And it is.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you for that. Yeah. And I had 12 grandchildren that I adore. They're just my life. Judd'll always be a little special to me.
Yeah.
And that, he came at a really hard time. And I think he was just meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I found myself, I've just been crying and crying and crying this week. Like, I think this new baby, it
does. I cried a lot before we did this, and I thought, I'm so tired the whole time.
Well, it's okay. I've been crying like all week. I feel like I've been happy with the new baby, but it just brings back a lot. And I just think of how Andy would be so happy to be an uncle. And
they miss out. All these missed out. I mean, like, those kids love him. And it's hard to see those little ones hurt. It's hard to see them hurt. And even like the old Harper, the one that wanted the dog, on his birthday, she sent me the most beautiful. I didn't cry on his birthday until she sent me this video she made of them. And oh my goodness. Yeah. Cody didn't like to leave voicemails. And after he passed away, me and my husband, we're just going all through our phone. And we had text messages, but no voicemails. I told Russell, I was like, we might as well give up. He just never would leave a voicemail. And this was in December. On my husband's birthday is in April. And on his birthday, he started going through his phone and he called me and he's like, Melinda, I found a voicemail from Cody. And I was like, no, why? I even went through his phone. Now I could see him over. Look, he's not, he just don't get into all that stuff. But I even went through his phone and I did not see a voicemail. I went through deleted and everything. I don't know. Maybe we just went with it. We missed it. But so on his birthday, he had a voicemail and all it said, this is a big joke, but him and our son-in-law and Russell call each other Billy Ray. It's just a long story, long joke. But he left a message and he goes, hey, Billy Ray, just want you to know I made it. Love you. And that's all it said. And Russell's like, he's letting us know we made it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what he'd done, he had come, I was already over here at home and he had come over to visit with his grandma and he was actually leaving the message to let his dad know he safely made the drive. But at that moment, Russell was like,
yeah, but he needed it then. It's just like, he's just gotten so many things. It's so funny that he was jealous of you at the beginning, that you got that piece, but really he's gotten little gifts right exactly when he's needed them, hasn't he?
Yes. Russell, he was just raised so different than I was. Like, my dad never would spank me because he didn't think men should spank kids. And Russell was raised like, you got whoopings. And, it was just a little rougher. And he said, I just think Cody made me a better man. He said, he just makes me want to be a better person. And I see that in him. Not that he was ever a bad person. I don't mean it like that.
Yeah.
Like you just see the world different. You see everything. And that in him. And I told him, I was like, God didn't bring him here for us to lose him. He brought him here to bring us those things, those kinds of things that made us want to be better people. And it's just, I mean, how can you not be thankful for that blessing, even if you only had it for a little while, you know? Oh,
Well, that's just beautiful. Is there anything else you feel like you would like to share with your now 7 years of wisdom that you have? It's funny because you and I are both at about the same point.
we have that, you know exactly where I'm at. I just want people just to be easy on yourself. Like, don't think that there's like a time limit.
Yeah.
Don't think, oh, it's been 3 years, I should be okay. Don't feel that way. You have to face your grief. We don't live in our grief,
Yeah.
live in the love, but it's okay. I mean, there's times I still lament. I mean, I might just, but then I'll,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter. It may take, everybody's different. And I just feel, I had a little lady tell me Cody hadn't been gone 6 months, and she told me I needed to get over it. She had lost a daughter. Her daughter was in her 50s. And I really respected this lady. I didn't get mad at her. I didn't dislike her. I lost a lot of respect for her. But in that moment, I thought, I'm not going to be that person. I'm going to go up. A lot of times I've noticed I really try to reach out to moms, and oh, it's sad how many we've had loose children here lately, but I try to reach out just to be a listening ear. I'm not going to tell them what they need to do, what they should do. Just be there. Don't try to tell anybody how they should be or that they should go on, or
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's not the way, not the way to be. But if you're in your grief right now, whether it's fresh or, I just feel like you have to handle it in your own way. Nobody can tell you how to, or what to do, or how long it's going to take. Look at us with 7 years, and
No, I know. That's what I was just going to say. I mean, you and I are both 7 years out, and we both have spent this week crying.
it's always going to be a wound
Right.
that will never heal.
Yeah.
It just won't.
Right. And we have a lot of good days. And I had the biggest smiles when I held my grandbaby for the first time. But that does not mean I haven't had a lot of tears this week, because I certainly have.
That's right. That's right. And you have every right to. And we'll probably always, I will never not have those tears. I'll never not feel the hurt till they bury me. I mean, we just won't. We
Yeah,
just
we
don't. Mm-mm. And they're such a, I mean, they're a part of you,
Yeah.
How
Right.
can you not have that? Yeah. And the worst thing anyone can say is, oh, they're in a better place.
Like, I know, kind of, but
I don't mean that harsh at all. I know,
yeah,
Martha, you don't have to tell me.
I know.
But I don't mean that ugly at all. It's just,
Right.
we know.
Yeah, we know, but that doesn't make it easier, actually. It really doesn't. You'd think it maybe would. I think from the outside, you think it would, but it really doesn't.
Yeah. Out there, Terry, where Cody is, I've gotten to be good friends. There's another mom that's buried her son. He was almost a year after Cody, and he was maybe a year older than Cody. And it's just beautiful. She's like planted trees and just, oh, I mean, it looks beautiful. And I text her and I said, look, I said, I just want you to know, I said, I love my son. And I said, his grave isn't as beautiful as yours. I said, but if you knew my son, you'd know why. I said, because if Cody thought I was going and just making it a big deal, I said, he would not be happy with me. We love that we have that connection, and that,
Yeah.
this shows you how different our kids are.
Yeah, I know. I know. That's why I love the way that you are memorializing him so quietly, because it's exactly how he would want it. You just don't want to do it big, because
Yes.
it just wouldn't be honoring him.
Like, out of that whole cemetery, we had a thief out there a few months ago, and my sister had put a bench out there right after his monument was put. Well, out of all which I'm glad. I mean, I wouldn't want to take in anyone else's. They took our bench. They did some sorry thief, And I started to get mad, and I thought Cody would say, "Mom, maybe they needed it worse than we did." So we just didn't get mad. thought they needed it worse than we did. It's okay. And I thought maybe Cody didn't want it there.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Well, thank you so much, Melinda, for sharing Cody. It's just been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. And the timing couldn't have been better.
So I appreciate you and everything you do, Marcy. You've helped me so much. Thank you.
Thanks for listening. If you found this helpful and would like to support the podcast, please leave a 5-star rating and comment. To help financially, you can type Andy's Mom, one word, to the number 53555. This provides a link to GiveButter, which allows donations through PayPal, Venmo, Apple Pay, or credit cards. GiveButter will provide a receipt of your tax-deductible donation, or you can visit the donation page at andysmom.com/donate. Always Andy's Mom is a registered 501c3 and can receive donations through Thrivent Financial and Benevity. Marcy loves hearing from listeners. Please feel free to reach out to her via email at marcy@andysmom.com or on the Instagram or Facebook Always Andy's Mom accounts. Sign up for the email list to get weekly episode links as well as pictures of Marcy's guests and their children. Together, let's work to inspire hope, one day at a time.